Chase refreshed the Sapphire Preferred and dropped a bombshell. Yes, we have to talk about HYATT again. Coming up right now on MTM Travel.
Watch Shawn redo his whole ranking of points in real time. In real time. Chase is no longer up there.
So happy Thursday, Mark, from Morocco, from Casablanca. Got to fly Royal Air Morocco for the first time, and then I'm flying on business class home, so I'm looking forward to that. My first time stepping foot in Africa.
Yeah, I know you've been wanting to go there forever, and I'm flying Royal Air Morocco in the fall, so we'll have to see how it compares, or what if we both like the experience the same. Except I'll be going out, you'll be coming in, so that's a bit different. You're flying like in the middle of the night, and you probably just want to get to bed as soon as you can, as on a 4 a.m. flight. Where I'll probably want to take advantage of dinner and all that stuff. So it'll be a little bit different, but we'll get between the two, we'll get like the full scope of things. And I had tried to want to do like a 1-day layover there, but I couldn't get the flights to work out. So just transitioning, I think I'm in the airport for a couple hours and then move on to Lisbon.
Well, we're doing a few things here. I was able to use some Chase points for 1.5x on experiences here, on like activities and stuff, booking tours, which is something I've had mixed results with in the past, but I still have some points that are eligible for the 1.5x under the old Sapphire program, for people who remember that, so I use some of those, and it's good. And yeah, we're flying. I mean, we flew here from Barcelona on a 737, so it's just a normal narrow body 2-hour flight, not a big deal, but the service was fine. They served a small meal even, which, you don't get in the US anymore. And I thought it was a perfectly fine thing. The airport seems pretty nice. We'll see departing. One little tip I had that I've used the last few times in Europe, and it certainly came in handy in Barcelona yesterday. As you know, I've been reading about all the long lines for security and exiting and stuff with their new digital system they're using for all that. And not too bad getting out of Barcelona, but the family lines, if you have kids, use the family lines at the airport. There's, I don't know what the maximum age of a kid is, but yesterday we just walked right in. They don't care. And that's something we learned a few years ago, and it saved us so much time.
Yeah. And, when we talk about my trip next week, I was going to bring up, but we can do it here because it's kind of in the same realm. If you're flying with people that don't have global entry, or if you don't have it yourself, download the MPC app. It's mobile passport control. It's basically, you just do the questions that they're going to ask you when you come. This is for when you're coming back into the US. And a lot of airports have it. Most of the major ones do. And you just fill out a couple questions, take a picture of your face, and then you go to a separate line. That's the MPC line. There's usually only like 5 or 10 people in it. It takes a minute to get through. It's kind of like having global entry. It's free. And then you don't have to wait with the 1,000 other people that don't know that they can download an app and do this in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's been great. And I think that program, it's been around a few years now. The app keeps getting better. I haven't used it in a little while because I have global entry, but yeah, it's a great alternative, better than just raw dogging immigration.
Never thought you put those two things together.
Well, raw dogging flights. That's what don't get your mind out of the gutter. We're just putting it all together. Well, let's talk about the Chase news, because they had some big news this week, including the revamp of the Sapphire Preferred. One interesting thing, and kind of goes against the trend that we've seen over the last few years, is the annual fee staying the same at $95, which I think is a big thing to highlight, because there's some bad stuff, but there's also some good stuff. They added 3x points on gas and EV charging, 3x on vacation rentals like Airbnb, and then they doubled the hotel credit. They added some new travel insurance protections. They added a global entry credit, as if we don't already have enough of that on other cards. But for some people, on a $95 card, getting a $120 credit for global entry or a TSA PreCheck is a good thing. And then they are throwing in an Apple TV subscription on a temporary basis through December 31st, 2026. And then you scroll way down in their press release, Mark, and then they talk about Sapphire changes. And they talk about Sapphire Preferred and Ink Business Preferred will no longer be 1-to-1 with HYATT. It'll be 4-to-3. And that is a huge devaluation.
Yeah, it's crazy that they would pair them all both together. Maybe not. That's how they usually do these things. Like, hey, but then they say, oh, this is so much better, even though this is worse. And the fact that they don't have a lot of really great transfer partners anymore, because they've lost some, and then other ones have just devalued to the point that Hyatt was kind of what Ultimate Rewards points were for a lot of people. When you devalue that, you devalue the whole card. Like it's not that crushes the whole program. Even though they can say, "Hey, we have all these other one-to-one transfer partners," this is a big knock to for a lot of people. But I want to focus like first on just the card refresh. And I think this was a really well done card refresh. If you take aside the gutting of Hyatt, getting 3x gas and grocery has been missed from Chase for a long time. It's been an issue. All these other cards have added it, City, Strata Elite. And we've been saying it like, you guys don't have it, you don't have it. Yeah, the Ink Cash does 2x, which is okay. But on the personal side, you just didn't have it. And then they added that for online grocery, at least with a refresh a couple years ago. And now they're bringing gas. And I expected 2x if they did bring it. But 3x is really good. It's up there with Amex Gold for 4x. But for a $95 card, it's right in line with the City Premier at 3x. So I think that's a really good move. And it's a travel card. And a lot of travel is driving, whether it's charging or gas. So it makes sense in that respect too. They also doubled the $50 hotel credit, which I never put much value in because what's $50 off a $200 room? But at $100, yeah, there's sometimes there's a $150 room, $130 room, roadside motel type of thing. So I think that's a lot more useful too. And now it fully offsets the annual fee.
Yeah, so kind of backing up a little bit, if you look, you have the 3x on gas and EV, 3x on vacation homes. You still have the 5x on Chase Travel, 2x on all other travel, 3x on dining worldwide, 3x on streaming services, and then on online grocery, plus the 5x on Lyft. So it is a very robust card when it comes to bonus categories, kind of across the board. I mean, maybe missing a few things, but can you imagine if they added real grocery? But maybe, a lot of people do online shopping with groceries. I don't know, as a $95 card, it's very attractive for like the everyday person to make this their one card. I think that's what Chase is really going for here.
Yeah, and I think if you look at this from a outside perspective, outside of miles and points, I bet you the vast majority of people that use this card, that have this card, cash out their points at 1 cent a piece, or just use the travel portal and book through that and be like, oh, I got a free flight. I just use my points through the travel portal, even though at this point it's only 1 cent per point. And that's kind of shocking. Like, why wouldn't they just leave the 1.25 cents? Because I'm guessing their information, their technology says people don't really care that much about it or are willing to do the 1 cent. When you'd be better off just cashing out the 1 cent, putting in your bank account, and then paying for the travel with your card, because then you're earning on that purchase. Especially if it's a hotel, then you can earn loyalty points on the stay too. But it just, why are you being that cheap? And I feel like this is kind of what they've been going to. The pay yourself back has been dropped down for most cards, only on the reserve for 1.25. You don't get the 1.5 on the portal anymore if you're just signing up now, unless you have legacy points like Shawn does. So yeah, sometimes it goes up to 2 cents, but they're probably getting a bigger kickback from those brands. And with the Hyatt devaluation, Hyatt points are already going to be down in the 1.3 cent range likely, and now you're giving people 75% of a point. So I think they're really trying to get their cost of acquisition down to around 1 cent, 1.1 cent per point, and this is a big part of that for the $95 card.
Yeah, speaking of the Sapphire Reserve, the 1.5 sort of legacy things, you talked on the last show about the Alaska booking fee and how you feel good, you click through and then the fee goes away. It's the kind of the same thing. When I search for activities, it shows me 1 cent and then I click through and it says you have points eligible. I don't know how many points left I have that I can still do the 1.5. I don't know. I don't remember how many I had in the account, and I just every time I kind of hold my breath to see if it's still there. But I think Chase points are going down in value, and I think that I'm happy to redeem them at 1.5 cents. Now, the Sapphire Reserve is the card that still earns 1-to-1 or still has 1-to-1 transfer with Hyatt. And so that is really what they're trying to do, is push you into this product that costs $700 more a year in order to get these this is the first time that they've ever gone away from 1-to-1. So we have to really think about, in the future, is this going to change even more? But you had a great article breaking all of this down, like what is the math on which cards you should get. You talk a lot about the upgrade downgrade opportunities, which something Benji has written about, and we actually covered that on the show not too long ago. I really worry that may change. The rules around that may change if people get too aggressive with going up and down. But I could see people building up some points, upgrading to Sapphire Reserve, transferring everything over to Hyatt, and then downgrading again. So there's those opportunities. And I mean, your article is just, if anybody has questions on which card you should get and the value of all this, Mark really went in. You outdid yourself in that article, kind of giving every option, everything to think about.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out that if you do have the card right now, nothing starts until October 1st for transfers to Hyatt. So if you have the Sapphire Preferred already, business as usual until end of September. So I think that's big there. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't panic now. I wouldn't move points. I would continue to earn normally because we don't know what Hyatt's going to look like. After the devaluation was announced, right now, searches kind of look similar. Some stuff's higher, a little bit of stuff's lower. Most of it's kind of in the same realm. So it's making you feel cozy and warm and safe. And then as the calendar stretches out and they get to put in their new prices, their new 5 tier categories, I think that's going to look differently 4, 5, 6 months from now. So I would just keep earning and don't make any decisions until the end of September. And then once you get there, be like, okay, what's Hyatt doing for me now? How does it look? Am I still using as many points as I was? And if you are, then push most, all, whatever you think you need for like a couple years. I would push over to Hyatt, and then you can just move forward and keep earning. And then when those points dwindle down after a couple years, do the same thing. You look at it and go, okay, do I still use Hyatt? Do I need more Hyatt points? How many do I need? What's my bank account look like on the Hyatt or in the Ultimate Rewards end? And then make the decision. Should I upgrade now and do that? And even if they make it so you have to hold it for 12 months like Amex does, if they change that rule, then at least you have a stash of points that make it well worth it versus just your regular earn rate and paying year over year. Like, I think it still makes sense to upgrade for 1 year, move hundreds of thousands of points over, and then downgrade after the 12 months or however you work it out. It's just you do this ebbs and flow if you want to stay with Hyatt that you can stretch it out. So you're only doing the Sapphire Reserve every 2, 3, 4 years, depending on your travel patterns.
Yeah, there are benefits to going up and, getting the credits and the way that they work and timing it all correctly. And Benji has written about that. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And so this isn't like the sky is falling, but for people who are Hyatt fans or even people who just recently got into Miles and Points and hear from everybody how great Hyatt has been. And on this show, unfortunately, we've had to document the decline, including, I think, the decline at the hotel level, which we talked about on the last show, but also the value. And having this come on the heels of that recent devaluation on Hyatt, not only did they change the categories, but now, as you point out, over time, they'll be able to, do the crazy I mean, I think I saw Thrifty Traveler make this point. If you think about the Park Hyatt Tokyo, right? A few weeks ago, 45,000 points and chase points, right? And it could be up to 100,000 with this devaluation in the transfer rate, and just in a matter of a couple weeks. And that kind of shows you where we are with the program. And I think that Hyatt, do you think that this is going to finally have an effect? Is Hyatt going to have trouble filling their hotels with all of us crazy Miles and Points people? Because I do see, like, I was just in the Hyatt Regency Barcelona, sitting in the club lounge, listening to people, and I do hear a lot of bad credit card advice in club lounges at Hyatt's. It seems like that's more of the case now than it used to be. But this guy was talking to his friend about the Sapphire Reserve and how it's the best thing ever and it more than pays for itself, and just get it. And I think he was trying to refer him for it, which probably is why he was doing it. But I think, are we going to see Hyatt really struggle now with these devaluations, people turning away from the program? And now I'm sure a lot of Sapphire Preferred card members are going to be rethinking their transfers.
Yeah, I think that Sapphire Preferred card in the Miles of Point space will be rethinking. I think general public that have that card aren't going to care much about this or change anything. So I think that's what Chase is banking on for Chase's side. Hyatt side, I do wonder what percent of like Miles and Points people are globalists, like their total global. Let's say they have 1,000 globalists. It's way more than that, but what percent or how many of those do you think are from the Miles and Points realm, and how many of them are saying, you know what, I'm out. Like, this isn't, I'll still stay at Hyatt, but I'm not chasing these 60 nights. I'm not doing mattress runs. I'm not spending on your credit cards over and over again just to get this, because you're deteriorating the program so much that's just not worth it. I'm going to be a free agent. And then what does that affect to the hotels? Because hotels love globalists. They get paid for their breakfast. They get paid for their parking. They get paid for all the perks, the suite upgrades, all that stuff. Hyatt pays them for that. So if they have less globalists to sell to these brands, because as we've said, we are their product. The end consumer is the hotel owners. So we're just there to like make them money. And if there's less of us that can make the hotels a lot of money, what does that do to Hyatt? Do they care? Does it become a problem where hotels are like, well, I'm going to go to Marriott because they bring me more elite members than you do because you can get it easily through a credit card. Hilton, probably the best. There's so many elite members because of the credit cards. If they're getting reimbursed from Hilton at similar rates, like I do think that that could have a long term effect on Hyatt overall.
I think you downplay what the normal people are doing with Hyatt. I think that's why so many people are moving points over. I think first off, the wider social media, this whole space has just grown. So there's not a lot. We're not talking about the hardcore people, but there's a lot of people who just, oh, I love that I can transfer my points to Hyatt and get a free stay. And those people, are, as you point out, aren't going to like think about upgrading, downgrading all this. They're just going to get less points and it's going to be less valuable. They're going to look at the other programs one to one. And I just think it makes Hyatt less desirable as a brand in the era that everything else has changed for them. I can't think of a. I'm sure that we've seen brands fall from grace faster than this. In general, I have good experiences.
Southwest?
My last, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wonder how much Hyatt had to do with this. Were they trying to charge more for the points? Because you have to think that they can't be happy about this, right? They want as many points as, first off, they want to sell Chase more points. And in this case, if, they're giving customers less, that means they're selling less points to Chase. So I just think that this is going to have an effect on Hyatt's occupancy. And I don't think it's the hardcore mile and points people. I think there's a lot of casual people that are interested in rewards that are filling up these hotels.
Yeah, if this came from Hyatt, where they were trying to charge more for their points after they just like gutted their program and valued immensely, then Chase has a real problem in their negotiating team. The fact that they couldn't find like one of the million articles saying Hyatt is worth less and be like, no, I'm not going to pay you more for something that's worth less. So I have to imagine this is Chase's side of things. And a part of it is because both the Sapphire Reserve and the Reserve for Business, which we didn't mention, that's included in this. Either one of those cards works for the one-to-one, as well as Ink Plus is attached to Ink Preferred. So if you have that legacy card, that the value is going down there too. But I have to imagine that this came from Chase saying, you know what? How can we get more people to go to our upper card? Nobody's getting it. They don't really like the refresh. All right, let's cut off our nose to spite our face. Let's make our other cards worth less so that people just find intrinsic value of moving up. I have to think that's along the lines of what happened here. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see if Bilt comes out when their thing is up with Hyatt, when their agreement's up, and if they change the ratio, then maybe it is a Hyatt thing. But I just couldn't see it with how long it's been going, and they used to be worth so much more that Hyatt would be like, you know what? Now we want more money. So that's one thing. Number two, who's popping the most bottles on this? It's got to be Bilt, right? Do you think they had a party in their office yesterday?
Yeah, unless, as you point out, they know something about how it's going to have to change for them too, which we don't know. I wouldn't expect that to happen. We don't know how long their contract is though, so perhaps that could. But certainly, it makes Bilt look a lot better, and it's an easier explanation to the normie. And that really is their business model, right? There is hardcore people are doing it, but it's pay your mortgage, pay your rent, and now hey, we got Hyatt. And I think there's a lot of crossover between that Sapphire Preferred customer and what Bilt is going for. So yeah, absolutely good for them.
Yeah, and Bilt will give you that one-to-one on their no-fee card. I mean, yes, they have the $500 Palladium card, but they also have a no-fee card. They have a $95 card. So they have options that can fit within your budget and the way that you spend. That gives you options. And I just think it's good that they can be the one that, hey, we're the only ones that have one-to-one Hyatt now. Like that's a big trumpet you can play. So I don't, even if Hyatt comes at with a higher price, maybe you just eat it. And having said that, I would still collect ultimate rewards. Yes, move into Bilt. It's my favorite point. If you give me 1,000,000 points, I would say give me 1,000,000 Bilt, just because of all the partners they have. But I don't use Bilt for Hyatt, and I haven't had ultimate rewards in a while. I've just been using the Hyatt card and what my stash was left when I moved ultimate rewards over. But let's say I had a Sapphire Preferred right now, and then I didn't have Bilt. I would have gotten a Bilt card already, or I'd be moving into that to have another option. Yes. But I'd still use my Bilt points for Alaska. I'd use it for Japan Airlines for a trip to Japan or a one-off type of thing like that. And I'd use it for all core. and I try to pair it up with one of their rent day transfer bonuses like I have in the past for a core. I'm hoping something comes for Alaska around again that I can take advantage of that too, because I value all three of those at a higher rate than I will value Hilton in the over the next couple of months. So I think one, Ultimate Rewards, best option is still going to be Hyatt, sadly, of everything they have. Maybe Aeroplan for some people. That could be another one. And then I wouldn't want to take Bilt points. That's why, like, if you have Capital One miles, I transfer those first before I transfer membership rewards if they have the same partner because I value them less. Ultimate Rewards are now your I value them less Hyatt point versus Bilt. Save Bilt for the other better stuff. So I would still collect both and then just take advantage when it makes sense to move to Hyatt with upgrading to a reserve. Or if you look at the article I wrote, I do the numbers of okay, if you value the perks at this much or this much or this much, this is how many Hyatt points you need to transfer a year to come ahead. Yes, it sucks that it used to be basically free with the $95 Sapphire Preferred card, and you have to pay a lot more for it. But that's the reality that we're in now, so we need to move forward. And that's why I offered up option number 3, which is the Aeroplan card.
Yeah, and me trying to explain all that, all the numbers are in there, but like I said, you did a doozy of an article today. I understand all of it, but I can't try to convey it to anybody. With pay yourself back and everything else that you're doing with Aeroplan, he lays out that scenario, Bilt, trying to figure out the value for yourself. But do you think that this is the last? Again, do you think that Chase is going to start changing the one-to-one with other partners, or do you think this is just a one-off? It got too popular. I would be concerned about that.
I'm pretty sure that Hyatt is the most expensive point, or at least of the major options. I think it's the most expensive point for the banks to buy. So I do think that they're trying, like I said, I think they're trying to drive the price of their cost on the back end down towards 1 cent per point. That's the only reason you would get rid of the travel porter. You're getting a huge kickback on these bookings because they're running through your agency. So why wouldn't you try to get as much to go through there as you could? And back in the day, we're like 1.5 cents through the portal has got to be cheaper than buying Hyatt points, United points, maybe not buying Southwest points, but all those things like this had to be a cheaper option. And it probably was for a long time. But they realized, I think at some point, the portal became more expensive than buying these points. And Hyatt was kind of like the last one that has stayed up there for purchase costs. This is all my guess. So I think that they did this as a way to drive down their costs to be in line with the other partners that they have. And then they're willing to eat it if you pay the $800 for their premium credit card. That's me reading tea leaves. That's what I come away with.
Well, they really paved paradise and put up a parking lot. I don't think we really knew how good we had it with this program in the years. I mean, it was so easy to earn points. The redemptions weren't crazy expensive. Man, I mean, those days were so good. I'm thinking back on some of the hotels I stayed at and the redemptions and the values I got, just insane. And we're just not going to have that anymore. And just like everything else, you just don't appreciate what you have. Well, I appreciated it. I took advantage of it, but I've been on here just saying, I really have to rethink my Hyatt strategy. And I think I think this is probably, I mean, I still have the Sapphire Reserve. I'm keeping it to redeem those points, but this is probably my last year with the Sapphire Reserve. And I just don't see myself keeping it for this. I'll probably do the upgrade, downgrade thing and be strategic about it. But I don't know. I'm just really down on Hyatt, I guess, these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. And that's why I said, don't do anything now. Come back. Because anytime a devaluation comes around, I'm never using that point again. I'm never using that partner again. Never transferring to that airline again. That's what you always see. And then that same person 3 months from now is like, oh, I just booked Park Hyatt this or whatever. So the knee-jerk reaction, don't say you're never going to use Chase again or you're done with Chase. Like they still have really good sign-up bonuses. They still have really good earning structure. So even if it's a little bit less than it used to be, it's still got to be part of your portfolio. And you got to work around that. And that's like, be diversified and take advantage of what's the best out there. You don't need to make any decisions right now unless you don't have a Sapphire Preferred card right now and you want to sign up before it goes into effect on Monday so that you can take advantage of this and ride it out until October. That's one thing that you might need to make a quicker decision. But otherwise, wait until December and then sit down and really think about it, crunch your numbers, and see where you're at that point because it could look a whole lot differently by then.
So let us know what you guys think. And again, the Sapphire Preferred, a good card now with all the bonus. I mean, it's a really attractive card too. So don't, I mean, I really do have to rethink my rankings on the points, though. I wonder where I would slot
Yeah.
Ultimate Rewards.
Chase just
now.
dropped below
Maybe we'll
Wells
have to-
Fargo for me. No, I'm just kidding.
So let us know, what is your ranking? Where does Chase go in that? Is this a huge deal, changing the transfers? Is it not a huge deal? Do you find the Sapphire Reserve is the card for you and then you don't care? All the strategies we talked about, I'll put a link to Mark's article down below, and a great article to kind of walk you through all the things you should consider with this big news. This kind of dropped out of nowhere. Did we know this was coming?
No, I think, affiliates got a heads up a little bit before because they all dropped it at 8 a.m. But I don't think there was any rumblings out there in like the Reddit verse or anything like that.
So let us know what you guys think, and we'll be back on Tuesday with another show. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back home. Looking forward to that. Talk to you next time.
And without a cold, that's nasally. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your